As you have gathered by now, you're going to hear a lot from me about effective communication because I believe that's the number one problem that we're having within our own communities and just generally the world. People are misinterpreting and misunderstanding what is being said or being projected to them, and it's because it's not being communicated properly. In order to effectively communicate with someone, you need to know who that person you're trying to communicate with is. Yeah, I said it. You need to know who you're dealing with before you start trying to get deep with them, okay? You need to know who you're dealing with before you approach them a certain type of way. And when I was little, I was always told, when you go out into these streets, you go out respectfully. You don't go out and start talking to people all kinds of ways and conducting yourself as if you're the boss of the world, because one day you're going to come across the wrong person on the wrong day. And I don't know what's going on with a lot of people nowadays, but I guess we have a generation or a group of people that are coming up, and they weren't told those simple things. So they think because they have freedom of speech or because they have independence that they can literally go up to people they barely know, talk to them any kind of way, place demands on them, use any type of body language that they want, and get away with it. That's the number one reason why there's a whole bunch of domestic violence that's going on right now. You hear stories about people getting hurt at parties and gatherings, and you hear a situation in a reasonably quiet neighborhood where all of a sudden the whole family's dead. You don't know why. And when the police go into the investigation, come to find out, those people were living in the house together and they were at each other's throats all the time. Communication is key when you're dealing with people. In the animal kingdom, you have some groups that are enemies of other groups. And believe me, they don't go around picking fights with each other. If you have this group of animals and they know another group of animals is nearby, they're going to do one or two things. They're either going to fight or they're going to fly. And the only way that they will fight is if they go into that person's territory. In other words, they went into that particular animal's space. But if they're over on in their section minding their own business, and that other group is over in their section minding their own business, they have no reason to conflict. Because they know what the other one is capable of. And see, that's the problem with human communication nowadays. You've got people saying things to people that have no business. You have people minding people's business where they have nothing to do with. They have people overstepping their boundaries because the majority of a lot of people nowadays don't even have boundaries, or they don't put up boundaries. And boundary has become a bad word. There's no such thing as having a blurred line when it comes to boundaries. Either you've got one or you're not. It's like pregnancy. Either you're pregnant or you're not. There's no such thing as a blurred line with pregnancy. It's the same thing with boundaries. You're either going to have some or you're not. And that person could be super nice, wonderful, kind, and everything else, but you need to have a certain set of rules, certain lines that you don't cross. See, when I was coming up, when you had a certain type of relationship with someone, whether it's friendship or romantic relationship or family, you knew when you were communicating with that person, there were certain things that you didn't say, and there were certain things that you didn't do. You didn't cross that line because you knew that was it. Or you knew if you crossed that line, you were asking to get bit. And it was rightly so. And if you did get bit, the people that are witness to it, they didn't sit there and have this little bleeding heart party about, oh, that shouldn't have been done, or try to rationalize their way out of it like people do nowadays. They'd be like, no, yeah, I shouldn't have went over there. Set boundaries if you want to have a healthy relationship. Establish communication. Pay attention to people. See, that's the problem. Take time to pay attention to people. Spend time to get to know them. So that way you can decide how you're going to communicate with them. And if you do that, then you'll be able to have more fruitful and longer relationships. You can't just go anywhere and willy-nilly just because you have the freedom to act in any way you want. Number one, you look silly. You're letting the whole world know that you don't think before you act. You're letting the whole world know that you don't care about yourself, but that you want to bring somebody else into the picture. If you don't care anything about yourself in that regard when you go out in public, then don't bring anybody else into the picture.